Hello guys, hello everyone, welcome back to my new YouTube channel today. Thank you for joining me. Please, if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you don't miss out or you don't miss any time I uploaded my any new video or anytime I'm on live, just like I am now. So thank you once again for joining me today. So there's this video I watched on BBC and I decided to share it with you guys, and if it's true, that means Kenya government has a case to answer, because this is illegal. This is even they committed worse crime than Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because according to this video, they say that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, abducted, and kidnapped illegally in Kenya, and he confirmed it. Nnamdi Kanu confirms it that yes, he was even tortured when he was in the custody. Because according to him, he was arrested in Kenyatta airport. So because he went there to pick up a visitor, and then all of a sudden the Kenya security officers came there, about 7 or so, I don't know, I can't remember now, and they abducted him. And he was detained and he was chained on the floor, hard floor, and then they tortured him. Even there, according to the man that was talking, he saw the marks, the wound, the injury, the marks that was on his wrist. So you need to watch it. Let me not just waste your people's time. You need to watch it and listen very carefully what this man was saying, because he went and visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the court, in prison where they detained him. So where he was detained, he's still detained. So excuse my English. So now let's watch it, and if it happens to be true, that means Kenya government is not just, they are very cruel, they are very wicked, because it's their duty to protect their visitor. Anybody that visited their country, is their duty to protect their visitor, not handing the someone that visited your country, you handed that person, you arrested that person, you abducted, kidnapped, and even tortured that person, and also hand him over to his enemies. In fact, I used to respect Kenya country, but right now, if this thing happens to be true, because according to this man, he said that evidence, they have the whole evidence, even though Kenya government or Kenya security officers, they are denying it, but the man said they have the whole evidence, so which they are going to present in the court of law. So let's watch it. Let me not waste on our time. Let's watch this video.
Thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure having you.
Look, I just start by asking, you don't see Nnamdi Kanu?
Yes, I live in the field for almost 3 hours at the headquarters of the DSS in Abuja. And we have quite an interaction, private interaction initially, and later on he was interviewed by 3 DSS officers and officers. I wanted to call it an interrogation, in which they are asking routine questions, but most of the questions centered on his being the leader of the indigenous people of the Africa and the activities of our organization. So he answered the questions in a relaxed atmosphere, with bearing in mind his constitutional rights not to incriminate himself. Of course, some of the questions had background information that he considered incomplete, and he told the officers that he was not able to answer some of those questions because the information that they supplied to him was incomplete.
If you describe to us when you see Nnamdi Kanu, how he be, what is his state of mind?
Well, his state of mind wasn't as sound as it should be. If you listen to his broadcast, you would know that he's a historian. But when I was talking with him, he had trouble recalling the actual date he was abducted. It surprised me. So to jog his memory, I asked him how many nights he spent in Abuja before he was brought to court. He told me 2 nights. So he was brought to court on Tuesday, the 29th June. So we figured he must have been brought into the country on Sunday, the 27th. So when I mentioned that date, he said, sure, that's the date. But I took particular note of that. I also noticed that he had a visible injury on his right wrist. I asked him what it was. He said it was where they had chained him, put the chain on him, and chained him to the concrete floor in Nairobi, Kenya. And he has disappearing injury on the left wrist and an injury right here at the nape of the neck. He appears like somebody who has been mentally traumatized. So he's unwilling to talk about one or two things until you prompt him. Like when I prompted him about the date, that's the conclusion I drew. How many nights he spent in Abuja. No, he's not. He's traumatized.
You could tell us more about what happened, because you just mentioned Kenya, and Kenyan government don't come out to talk, say they're not arresting Nnamdi Kanu for Kenya. So tell us more about this.
What happened is this. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu entered Kenya, I believe, on a certain date, right around April this year. I'm not sure. I'm trying to establish the actual date of entry. But I had documentation from a Kenyan hospital that placed him in Kenya as of 14th April this year, 14th May. So he entered Kenya.
And what did he do for the Kenya hospital?
He went there because he had issues with his heart. He felt he wasn't well. So he went there, he was examined, and the diagnosis was hypertension and heart murmur. They made prescriptions for him, and my examination of the medical report indicated medications for heart and controlling blood pressure. So apparently he entered Kenya before the 14th May this year. So he had settled in at a location in Nairobi, temporary location, and he entered with his passport. That day, on the fateful day, that was on the, I believe on the 19th, yes, not believe, certain, 100%. He drove himself to the airport from his temporary location in Kenya. He drove to Jomo Kenyatta International and went into the garage, the underground garage, to pick up a visitor flying in from outside. Okay, that is not necessary for this discussion, the identity or whatever. So the moment he got into the parking lot, the garage, a group of several men well armed to the teeth.
And this now waiting Nnamdi Kanu tell you about what he remember of what happened before they bring him to Nigeria.
This is what he told me, and his recollection of this was very, very lucid and clear.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so now they swooped on him, they gathered and grabbed him, okay, in a very physical, rough way, and he raised the lamp. Luckily for him, there were a few people that were there, and the people wanted to intervene in terms of the very aggressive intervention, because to them, I asked him why they would consider making an aggressive intervention when something that seemed law enforcement was happening. He said perhaps they didn't believe it was normal. So the people that were abducting him told everybody to stay clear, that this person you're looking at is a Nigerian terrorist who assists the Al-Shabaab terrorists in Kenya. They grabbed him, put him in their car, and left, and took him to a private residence, not an official detention facility, where they chained him to the floor. For most of the 8 days he spent there, and they really tortured him, thinking he was Al-Shabaab. So he kept telling them he wasn't Al-Shabaab. He had nothing to do with Al-Shabaab. He kept telling them who he was.
Who are these people?
Well, I asked him who they are. He told me they are Kenyan security officials. I asked him why. He said the insignia, the courage, that he had arrived Kenya, so he had a bit knowledge of the terrain and how the law enforcement functions and the sort of things they wear, how, that they were brazen with weapons openly. It couldn't have been private parties or, some rogue agents doing that. He told me that the thing has a 100% degree of officialdom to it. So they took him to that location and they were torturing him, and I'm sorry to say they really beat him a lot. So, but at some point when he was trying to explain himself, he told me he was blindfolded most of the time, chained to the floor, bare floor.
But the Kenyan government don't clearly talk, say they don't get hand for this, and they don't arrest Nnamdi Kanu for the crime. And also the federal government never come out to talk anything about where your client, where they arrest your client from.
Okay. You see, it's not going to be a question of he said, she said. I'm a lawyer. I operate on the basis of independent and credible evidence. The Kenyan High Commissioner might have sounded credible to the general public, but information available to me can impeach every single word she uttered, including the denial that came from the home government. I have immigration stamp placing Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya just 2 months before his abduction. I have medical evidence placing him at a Kenyan hospital. Okay? And I have his own word. He's of a man of sound mind.
And what's in your client Nnamdi Kanu tell you about how they move on from Kenya? As you talk, say tell you to Nigeria.
Yes. He said on the fateful day, that was the 27th on Sunday, 27 June, they drove him in a car to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, blindfolded him, and bundled him inside a private jet, like a Lear jet. I asked him if he's a Boeing 777, so whatever, or Airbus, the big ships. He said no, it's a normal private jet that you often would see some people owning private jet, that kind of size. And he was the lone passenger in that jet, in that plane, and he didn't clear immigration. They drove him straight, on the tarmac, straight to the plane, and very close to the plane, and put him inside the plane with Nigerian security officials, and left about 12 noon in the afternoon, and landed in Nigeria same day in the evening, around something after 4 or 5.
Let me talk about the trial where we begin again on the 26th of July. Yes. How prepared Nnamdi for that?
Well, we are, but there's not going to be any trial. There's going to be trial within trial. What happened to Nnamdi Kanu is, by legal definition, worldwide legal definition, what is called extraordinary rendition. It's a state crime. It's a crime by the state. If a private individual abducts or violently and illegally seizes another individual, it's called kidnapping, and it's in some jurisdictions, it's a capital offense. When state does it, it's called extraordinary rendition. That's what happened. So if you render or you renditioned a fugitive or a suspect, you have lost jurisdiction to try that suspect because he committed an international crime. You broke your own laws. You broke the laws of the third state from which territory you renditioned that individual. And you broke the laws of the second state of nationality of that individual. That is what is playing out here. Because we have 3 divergent but also compliant jurisdictions. The 3 jurisdictions here, Nigeria, Kenya, and UK, their laws prohibit extraordinary rendition.
Okay, so the calls don't come from different quarters, from different groups. Say the federal government must handle this case, that the trial must happen, Nnamdi Kanu trial must happen in the family. Does this make you optimistic?
Fair trial.
That Nnamdi Kanu must have a
it's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction to say that a jurisdiction that broke the laws of countries and the international law, that's the 4th component, to bring a suspect before that jurisdiction should be expected to give fair trial to such an individual. But like I said, we haven't even gotten to that bridge yet. When we get to the bridge of whether it's going to get trial or not, we are going to ventilate it. The bridge we have to cross first is the bridge of testing the impact on the jurisdiction of Nigeria to try Kanu for a criminal offenses stemming from the extraordinary rendition.